The Supreme Court, while hearing a plea alleging harassment over the feeding of community dogs in Noida, asked the petitioner, and I quote, "Why don't you feed them in your own house? We should leave every lane, every road open for these large-hearted people. There is all the space for these animals, but there is no space for humans. Nobody is stopping you from feeding them at home." In fact, he also gave a warning. Morning walkers are also at risk. Cycle riders and the two-wheelers are also at greater risk.
With the Supreme Court observing that dog lovers ought to confine their feeding to their homes and not feed dogs in public places, I have with me three Chennai to get a sense of what they think about that. Thank you all very much for your time. The Supreme Court has observed that dog lovers should confine their feeding activity to your homes and not do it in public places. How would you look at that?
Thanks for the opportunity to speak about this. I think some of those who are voluntarily feeding, they are not feeding just on their street. They are doing it as a public service, going to different localities and feeding dogs. In fact, I've seen one or two volunteers who come and they feed street by street. They come at different times. So I think it's a bit unfair both to the volunteer as well as the the animals that they have to go somewhere for food. That will create a different kind of a problem. Imagine 50 dogs converging on one residence to be fed. That would create a different kind of problem. Well-fed strays are better than hungry strays. Or we don't call them strays, we call them streeties, or we call them community dogs. So it's actually when you're feeding, you're doing a service to the animals as well as to the community, because you're ensuring that they are well fed and they are in their location.
Do you think it's also important to effectively implement animal birth control?
Yes.
For dogs?
Yes, I agree. We should effectively implement this control, birth control, for all the streeties or street dogs or that community people.
So at some point in time, the population would drastically come down?
Yes, 100%. I've seen in our area, it has come down. There are no new births or newborns in our area.
Shiba, there is also the concern of dog bites, dog chasing pedestrians, two-wheelers. That's a major concern. Although it could be less in number compared to the population, someone losing a child's life, for them it's a big thing.
Yeah, I agree to that, but again I would say it's the human's fault, because if you look at the aggressive home dogs that have bitten children, which is actually sad, is that the owners have not really done a good job of training the dog. If it's a Rottweiler, you can't let it loose if the Rottweiler is not trained. And the last case was, he was a breeder and he left the dogs out like that, which is incorrect. So again, we can't entirely blame it on the animal. It's also our responsibility to make sure that the dog is vaccinated and he's trained, and there is no other way but to coexist.
Thank you all very much for your time. Chennai speaking out on taking care of community dogs. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel, Find NDTV.